Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are still covering President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's visit to India, and this morning President al-Sisi has received a red carpet reception and official welcoming reception or an official ceremony from the President of India and the Prime Minister of India this morning, and also the President have laid a wreath of flower on the tomb of the Mahatma Gandhi. Well, to shed more light on the importance of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's visit to India, we have the pleasure to have this phone with Dr. Muhammad Abdel Halim, Professor of Political Science in Zagazig University. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, ma'am.
Well, Dr. Abdel Halim, now the President is in India after an invitation he received from the Prime Minister of India in order to attend the Republic Day, and the President is attending this celebration as the chief or the guest of honor this year. And the previous 2 years ago, no one was invited to this celebration because of the coronavirus. And when India started celebrating this occasion, it started with inviting President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Tell us your insight concerning the importance of this.
Right. Supposedly, this is supposed to be actually the first time on the part of the Indian side to invite a president from the Middle East, actually, as a guest of honor to attend the celebration of the Republic Day as a sort of estimation on the part of the Prime Minister of India, that is Narendra Modi, through the lapse of 75 years, just by way of solidifying the ties of friendliness and the friendship, actually, and the partnership between the two countries, actually. That sort of invitation to New Delhi, actually, to His Own Excellency, Mr. Fattah al-Sisi, to attend that sort of Republic Day, actually, the Indian Republic Day, is being initiated as a very much dignitary sort of invitation. And the selection of His Own Excellency, Mr. President Fattah al-Sisi, actually, would come as a sort of a high esteem on the part of the Indian side in the light of the great deal of interest and the wide partnership, actually, that is to be exchanged between the Egyptian presidency on the one hand and the Indian on the other. The importance of the visit also, would stem out of the fact that this is the first collaboration, the first invitation on the part of the Indian side to an Egyptian president, actually, perhaps during the 60s and the 70s, that sort of period which witnessed actually a great deal of very firm ties and strong relations, starting from days of late Gamal Abdel Nasser, God bless his soul, and President Nehru, actually, the sort of the first day in which to be invited by the Indian side, and we highly esteem that sort of very strong relations between Egypt on the one hand and India on the other. That will be witnessed and will be witnessing actually a sort of upsurge during the course of perhaps the next year. As a matter of fact, that sort of visit on the part of His Own Excellency, Mr. President Fattah al-Sisi, as an honorary guest actually to attend the celebration of the Republic Day as a guest of honor, actually, will be witnessing in the meantime the sort of endorsement of a large number of memorandum of understanding of strategic partnership between India and between Egypt on the other hand. And I would think actually that immediately after the lapse of the 75 years of diplomatic relations and consulatic firm ties actually between Egypt and India, through Nehru, through Mahatma Gandhi, and a large number of very old and strong and firmly rooted and deeply rooted strong ties, actually, and very much strong ties among the group of the non-alignment movement, the sort of a movement that has been initiated and introduced, by India, by Egypt, collaboration of Egypt, in the meantime, the affiliation to the group of the 77, a sort of an continual inclination and strong relation, permanent one indeed, since Indira Gandhi actually, in the light of the agreement of commerce, of free commerce, and the eternal and perpetual sort of collaboration between the two sides. India, as a matter of fact, is very much interested in modern means of technology, of a large number of informatics and information and programs of computer. And I think that that sort of summit actually will be witnessing a large number of, strategic meetings actually with, heads of a large number of companies and dignitaries and delegations of high profile actually to sign an agreement actually, but with respect to, bilateral relations actually, and the sort of the results that will be come out actually of the sort of that sort of partnership. And what seems to be quite occupying pride of place among the other interests actually of that sort of visit is the invitation on the part of the Egyptian presidency actually to benefit actually of the Suez Canal, of the new Suez Canal as well, in the light of what we really know of what sort of diplomacy, high-profile diplomacy that India is enjoying, as much as the modern technological aspects and modern means of technology, a sort of a thing that would create at the end of the day a very much beneficial and fruitful partnership on the political as much as on the strategic side as well. Going back actually to the history between the two countries, it is not very much quite recent and new of its kind that would go and would being celebrated actually during the course of the 75 years of the continual economic partnership as much as strategic relations and the maximization of these visits, actually high-profile visits and these diplomatic relations that started perhaps during, 1947, during the early days of late President Gamal Abdel Nasser, God bless his soul, with the first Indian Prime Minister, that is Jawaharlal Nehru, and the sort of the thing that initiated Bandung Conference in 1955, the first initial fabric of the non-alignment movement, a sort of a movement that I think Egypt is very much enjoying and practicing until the very moment of speaking, in much of the same way the establishment actually of the friendliness and the friendship committee actually, Indian-Egyptian one indeed, started in 52 between Egypt and India, constituting the group of 15, or the 15 group that was back in 1889, both with respect to technology as much as commerce. The affiliation of Cairo actually to the BRICS as well, I think is highly supposed and looming large in the due course of time with what it would indicate actually of what you might call a very influential role to be played and practiced both on the commercial side as much as the strategic and the economic as well.
Yes, Dr. Abdel Halim, during the red carpet reception and the official ceremony that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received this morning in India, the President spoke and delivered a small speech saying he thanked the Indian government and the Indian people and described the relations between Egypt and India, that it is through the decades and through the years, it was always fruitful, it was always stable, and there was no, it did not face any obstacles. And the President said also that he is happy to be in India as Egypt and India celebrates 75 years on their diplomatic relations. Could you give us an idea about this, please?
Right, rightly so. I mean, you said the word and you meant it, actually. That sort of, high-profile state visit, what you might call a red carpet treatment, actually, on the part of the Indian presidency, actually, is one of the highest distinguished, signs of receiving celebrities and distinguished authorities, as much as our own distinguished President, His Own Excellency, Mr. Fattah al-Sisi is. In the light of, this is supposed to be a a state visit for a third time, actually, in his own part. For fortifying the bilateral relations and, stabilizing the sort of the military cooperation in much the same way that it would throw its own deep light on both the commerce and the economy, actually. As we all know that, His Own Excellency, Mr. Fattah al-Sisi, did visit New Delhi for a couple of times, the first of which was in October, in 2015, followed by the second, that was in September 2016. But this visit seems to be quite, as I've just said at the very beginning of my words, would occupy, prime of place in the light that, it comes as a sort of a very firm and very much dear invitation on the part of the Egyptian president, actually, to participate as a guest of honor, actually. As you might have said a couple of minutes ago, a red carpet treatment, actually, a sort of a visit, an invitation on the part of the Indian, Prime Minister and, the Indian presidency for a Mediterranean distinguished authority, actually, as much as our own president is. And the Republican Day of India, that seems to be quite as a clear testimony of, solidification and fortification of the sort of relation that did exist, actually, as you might have said, through the lapse and during the lapse of 75 years ago. And according to the, publication of the presidency, of the Egyptian presidency, that sort of visit comes as a sort of, an acceptance on the part of our own Egyptian presidency, actually, for the sort of very much dear, as I've just said, invitation on the part of, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to participate as a guest of honor in a day that will be, quite witnessing. In the meantime, as I've just said, the fortification of the bilateral relations, actually, and to establish the bridge of friendliness and friendship, actually, that would last during the course of the last previous 70 years. In much same way, there is an tendency, there is an intention on the part of our own Egyptian presidency, actually, to expand the circle of, the military cooperation, and in the meantime, actually, to expand the sense of investment, actually, as much as with the view of, expanding in the meantime the amount of commerce, the sort of the free trade, and that sort of visit, again, would reflect the sort of the near contingency and the near, mutual identification between the two countries and the very much dear and deep estimation on the part of India that the Indian presidency actually, would, represent and underline to the Egyptian presidency as a government and as a people in the meantime. The visit in the meantime, I think, would, discuss in wide terms the sort of, the joint mutual identification and the cooperation between the two friendly countries, being namely Egypt and India, actually, as most important, countries, very much promising ones, playing very much instinct and very much pivotal private role, actually, in almost all the affairs on both the local and the international level. And it's destined, actually, for His Own Excellency, Mr. Fattah al-Sisi, to be able to participate in a sort of high delegate profile with a large number of officials and employees, actually, on India, of very large, well-known and widely known Indian companies, including the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the sort of the Prime Minister, actually, that would endorse a great deal of friendliness and frankness, actually, and large signs of hospitality on his own part and on the part of his own government, as much as on the part of his own presidency, towards the reception of a great distinction, honorable guest coming from the Middle East, representing and underlying wide messages of peace, of serenity, of social security, actually, not only for Egypt, but actually for almost the whole world. A sort of an extreme sense of deep friendliness that had been testified to and had been represented actually during the coronavirus pandemic that seemed to be quite devastating almost the whole world. And we can really understand what sort of relationship, a firm tie actually, that did exist from the mutual identification of sending medical aid on both with respect to Egypt and India. And in the meantime, the sort of the visit will be witnessing, I think, in the meantime, the president of India, or the Indian president, Draupadi Murmu, in addition to a large number of dignitaries actually, to fortify and to solidify the sort of the bilateral relations on almost all the levels actually. Supposedly that I think that the program of the visit will be, including and underlying in the meantime, a large number of dignitaries, as I just said, to fortify the depths of the historical relations and the strategic partnership actually between New Delhi on one side and Cairo on the other, to celebrate the sort of very much distinction day, the Republican Day.
Yes.
In much the same way that I think that there are joint and very much mutual files that will be discussed, being, as I just said, the third visit on His Own Excellency's part. That will underline a sort of strategic cooperation between the countries.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohammed Abdel Halim, Professor of Political Science, Zagazig University.